Very interesting. We've finally heard from Priti Patel, she of the Dalek-like potential. She says, I'm rarely at home, but if I saw someone breaking the rules, I would call the police. And this is about the rules for lockdown. So she would be quite stern, as we know. I am stern! I am stern! But as for Boris, uh, she's very supportive. She says that we owe our majority. We owe our majority to Boris. He's apologised, and we should back him. That's what she says. And then, of course, that we must wait for this senior civil servant who is responsible for conducting the investigation, and of course works for Boris. So we'll see what happens. And Boris, meanwhile, has got all these plans about what he's going to do once all that is over to level up, level up. But extraordinary when I looked at this thing, or when somebody was telling me about it actually, and they read out this message that she'd sent, and she wrote she addressed the message to team. And I thought initially that she was talking to me. I thought she must have been somehow or other in some strange way inside my head. Team, team, team. But it wasn't that. It wasn't that. She was talking about team, team. So she addresses people as team, T-E-A-M as opposed to T-I-M. And she talks about all having to work together, all having personal responsibilities, and being conscientious to one another. I have no idea what that last statement means. Being conscientious to one. Has she somehow either got the wrong word there? In my English teacher instinct, do I want to correct her at that point? I want to correct her all the time, but I'm not sure if it's right to correct her at this point. And as for Boris, he just has a history of being rather cavalier with the truth. So why would we, at this stage, be reprimanding him for doing something that has clearly become part of his nature? I mean, do you remember that thing? It was back in the 1980s, I think, when he was working for, I think, the Daily Telegraph. I can't remember. But he was writing an article about the rediscovery of a palace, the discovery of a palace which everybody thought had been lost and belonged to Edward II. And he quoted his godfather. His godfather! If my godson quoted me in that sort of way, I'd be horrified. He quoted his godfather, Sir Colin Lucas. And he gave a line, some sort of line, I can't remember what the line was now, about Piers Gaveston. Now, the problem was that Piers Gaveston was beheaded in 1312, and this palace wasn't actually built until 1325. So Boris's fantasy, which was attributed to his godfather Colin Lucas, that there were gay romps in this palace, was completely outrageous. Boris went on and called this his biggest cock-up. I don't know whether he was aware that was a rather apposite line, but it didn't stop then. He then went on and did it again in the period when he was in Brussels, and he was writing again for the Daily Telegraph between 1989 and 1994, and people people in the Daily Telegraph were getting quite used to what they called his Euromyths, his Euromythology. And again, when I first heard this term, I thought they were talking Eurythmy, which is some strange movement exercise organised by the Steiner school, and people run around the place, sort of flipping bits of white silk around the place, like or big white scarves, like Isadora Duncan on a good day. But anyway, that all. We can't expect somebody to change what they are. We knew what Boris was when he was elected. Boris is Boris is a Barnum character. Boris is our version of P.T. Barnum. And P.T. Barnum apparently stood for political office and he didn't get it. Boris stood for political office and got it. And now we are reaping the whirlwind. Boris is not behaving any differently to the way he always has behaved. And that is the point. Priti Patel is not behaving any different. I'd hate to be Priti Patel's neighbour. My goodness. My goodness. Even if she's rarely at home, as she says. My goodness, but I would live in terror. I don't think I like Priti Patel. That's my problem. So maybe I'm not giving her enough time and enough careful thought. Maybe maybe you have to tell me, what is there in Priti Patel that I should admire? And I will make this my homework for the week. So please follow the channel, ring the bell, and let's all find something pleasant to say about Priti Patel. I'm going to struggle.